So, WrestleMania 42 is a long way away, okay? Let's be real here. We've got, what, about 11 months until WrestleMania 42, but there's no time like the present to try and get some predictions in. And as someone who sits here and records themselves in front of a camera in their bedroom for videos on the internet, I thought that I might as well go ahead and predict the WrestleMania 42 card 1 year out, basically. So we are going to see what I think. I'm going to be completely real before we get into this. I'm not using any sort of rhyme or reason. I'm basically kind of booking the matches that I would like to see given the current state of WWE. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So I actually went through all of the trouble of making graphics for everything because as someone who does like a cool universe mode and all of that stuff, I like making graphics. So I've got, I believe it's 12 matches on this card, which I know is a little bit more than what they typically do nowadays, but I just thought, oh well, you know, let's go ahead and get on with it. So our first match for night one, Aleister Black versus Drew McIntyre. Now this is a really weird one, okay? This is a match where you know, a lot of people are going to go, well, why are we booking this, right? Like, what's going on here? Honestly, I didn't really have anything else in mind for either of these two guys, and I'll be real here, I'm never gonna say no to an Aleister Black Drew McIntyre match. Back when I was doing a regular universe mode, this was the first United States Championship feud that I ever ran. So, yeah, it's just one of those, like, kind of nostalgia picks for me, personally. I think this match could be really fun. With the right build, it'd be great. You know, these are two dudes who are really good at telling stories, cutting promos, etc. And I feel like their styles would mesh really well, and I think it'd be great for a WrestleMania stage. Next up, for the United States Championship, I went with Carmelo Hayes as the champion going in, taking on Jimmy Uso. Now, obviously, this year, we had Jey Uso's big moment, winning the World Heavyweight Championship off of Gunther, and I believe that we're going to ride the momentum with Big Jim, with Jimmy Uso, and I do think that this probably won't be the first time that he wins the United States title, but I do think this is going to be the biggest stage that he gets it done. I would have Jimmy Uso, if this was a real match, Jimmy Uso would win, and I think Carmelo Hayes is a great person to hold the belt maybe from like just before the Rumble, maybe picking it up on the Saturday Night Main Event where Cena's having his last match, picking it up there and then holding it from then until Mania. I think would be fun. I just think Carmelo Hayes should be United States Champion by some point this year, probably going into Mania as well, and I think this would be a fun match. I think the feud would be fun, nothing super crazy, but hey, it'd be a good match nonetheless. Now this is where things get a little bit interesting. I'm gonna have to move my camera ever so slightly. The Paul Heyman stuff, right? I know that they're probably going to move on from Jey Uso and whatnot eventually, right? But I think that with Mania coming up, it's always like the Avengers assemble and they bring everybody back together. So, like, you know, what better way to do that than with Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso coming back together for a tag match on the Mania 42 card. I know it's going to be weird, neither of them in a big title match or in a main event, but I feel like it's Cody. You can basically sell any sort of match with Cody. Jay's one of those people that's incredibly over with a bunch of people, so he's also another one that's going to sell a lot of tickets. Ethan Page is me going a bit fantasy booking and thinking that Ethan Page should join the Paul Heyman Alliance. I just think he should. He'd become a made man. He's great. Ethan Page is one of my favorite wrestlers. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. So I think it'd be a fun little addition to that alliance. Who would win? I don't really know. I would personally give it to Breakker and Page, but I feel like you would probably have Uso and Rhodes win, but I don't know. Alright, now I can move myself back in a second. No, I can't actually, because I'd be blocking Rey Fenix. We got brothers versus brothers. We got Creed brothers, who would be the champions going in, taking on the Lucha brothers. Obviously, again, this is one of those ones where I feel like this could happen a bit earlier. Maybe at like a SummerSlam if the New Day don't have a long run with the belts. But I think this would be a fantastic match. Personally, this would be the first time you would have the Lucha Brothers team in WWE. This would be. You wouldn't have them team up any other time. This would be the first time, and yeah, whether they win the belts or not, that is entirely up to you. But this would be the first time that they've ever teamed up in WWE, and you get to showcase what they're capable of and what they do as a team on the biggest stage possible, and you let the Creed brothers be elevated from having a great match against the Lucha brothers as well. Now, this one I flip-flopped on, and I'll explain to you what I flip-flopped on, in the sense of Jade Cargill, I do think, is probably going to be in a massive high-profile match at Mania 42. I don't know what it is, but I feel like it's going to be some massive championship match, and I feel like they might keep her on SmackDown, and if so, she's going to be in the Women's Championship match. Now, it really all rested on if she's the champion going in, if she's winning the Rumble, winning the Chamber, or whatever, and then who her opponent would be. Now, I went with the idea, and I know a lot of people have probably heard my takes on Rhea, which is she should be away from the women's belt for a little bit. But I feel like if you moved her to SmackDown and then built her up a little bit, had her wrestle some of the people there, build herself back up and then win the belt, you know, maybe at like a SummerSlam or somewhere around there, maybe Crown Jewel. When is Crown Jewel? October. So yeah, you could easily have her win the belt at Crown Jewel in Perth. But I was originally, and this is what I mean by flip-flop, I originally had this written down because I had it in like a little Google Doc, not Google Doc, a little Word document, and originally the plan for me was Jade Cargill as champion versus Jordynne Grace, because I was going to say that Jordynne Grace was going to win the Rumble, and she was going to be the first NXT star to win the Rumble, and then go on to basically get called up at that moment by challenging for the Women's Championship. But I don't know if Cargill and Jordan, it would be a good match, but I don't know what you would do with Rhea otherwise. And I think having Rhea as the champion going up against Jade Cargill, I think is probably the right play. Maybe Cargill Grace would have been better, but I don't know if you want Jordynne Grace to go up to the main roster around about that sort of time next year. Who knows, right? The whole landscape can change in like 2 seconds, so who knows? But this was one of the matches I really flip-flopped on. And here we have the main event of night one. I don't think this will be the big main event. I don't think this will be a Mania match. However, I can only go off of what is happening right now and what I want to see. And what I want to see, I'm not going to lie to you, is a Sami Zayn World Championship reign. I don't really care how long it is. Like, I've never really cared about how long someone holds a belt for. As long as their reign is entertaining, that's kind of like my thing. But I really, really do think that Sami Zayn being like the conquering hero against the Rollins and the Heyman Alliance and whatever you want to call it, right, I think is the coolest thing. Do I think that Sami Zayn is going to headline Mania Night 1 on his own against Seth? I don't know. Maybe they do The Rock and Roman Reigns and whatever I've got for Night 2, if that even... Night 2's main event is not happening, by the way. I know I said it's predictions, but that's not happening. What I've got planned is not happening, like, at all. But I think this would be a fun little match. It's just a nice moment for Sami to be the conquering hero. And I think Seth then gets quite a long time at the top as a heel once again. And this would be the first, like, massive blow to the Heyman Alliance. How would this happen? I think you would have Sami Zayn win the Elimination Chamber because of how we get to my Night 2 main event. But Sami wins the Chamber. It's a big moment. Probably even beats like Braun at the in the final 2 kind of deal, and then goes on to Mania to fight Seth Rollins for the belt. And then we get into Night 2. So for Night 2, I remember what I started this with. Oh god, here we go.
Oh my god, bro.
Yeah, right, so, you guys are probably all going absolutely insane right now, and I reckon if I was a bigger creator, I'd be getting so many posts on Twitter right now being like, oh my god, this guy can't be serious. Karrion Kross Roman Reigns, what you want about? Listen to me here, alright? We're going to full screen so you can get my full thoughts on this, alright? So Karrion's whole thing at the moment is disgruntled worker angry at management gimmick, right? That's the thing. That's the story that we're going with. That's kind of where Karrion's going, it looks like, right? And I feel like maybe Karrion could win a belt this year. It's annoying because I want to see him do well. I think maybe he picks up the IC title at some point this year. Maybe not. But I don't really see him maybe winning like a world championship like a lot of people are thinking that Karrion's going to do this year. So where does he go? What does he do? Well, I think he starts taking out the company favorites, right? Maybe he feuds with Jay for a little bit for the world title. Who knows? Maybe he costs Jay the world championship at some point. Maybe that's how Seth picks it up. I don't know. Right? Maybe something like that happens. He goes after, like, Jey Uso. He goes after, like, Cody Rhodes. He goes after the company favorites, right? But there's no bigger company favorite than Roman Reigns. And there's no real bigger stage to try and defeat him at than at WrestleMania. Now, do I think that Karrion would win this? I honestly, probably not, right? It really all depends on how much and, like, how over Karrion is at the moment. If I was booking it, and again, this is where things would go crazy, I would actually have Karrion beat Roman Reigns. Would it happen? Probably not, right? Let's be real here. But I think it'd be a fun match to do. I think it's a great way of giving Karrion a really good story, a really deep storyline, without having to, like, thrust him into a title scene where there's already quite a lot of congestion. But let's continue. Okay, so, I'll be real here, I'm just a work rate guy, and the IC title should be the work rate belt, so why not put in 3 dudes who are incredible in ring, give them a bunch of time, and let them cook. Dragunov would be champion going in, and I would honestly probably have either Dragunov retain or give Ludwig Kaiser the IC title on this one. There's not really much else to say other than this is just very much just a me booking this match because I want to see this match and I want to see these 3 cook. That's really it, personally. This match, so when I say predicting, I genuinely, it's so annoying because I'll be real, I didn't want to book a Logan Paul match, to be honest with you. I think a lot of people would agree, but when you're predicting, you kind of have to go with stuff that you don't necessarily want to do either, and a Logan Paul match is one of those. So, Logan Paul, CM Punk, it's one of those ones where I'm like, I would love for Punk to be doing more, but in what I'm doing and what I'm trying to, like, you know, do as a worldview, obviously, I'll explain my other idea, because there were 2 ideas for the Night 2 main event, but I went with one that I would personally enjoy more, but this is why Punk is fighting Logan Paul on this one. Is it gonna happen? Maybe. Maybe this is the SummerSlam match. Who knows, right? Like, who knows? And I'm obviously recording this before Backlash. I think this will be out after Backlash. So, for all I know, Logan's already won the World Championship, and that would have been, oh my god. But yeah, Logan Paul, CM Punk, fair enough, right? Like, this is a match that I think will happen at some point, and I reckon this is going to be one of those ones that they save for a WrestleMania. This is once again just another Byron being Byron and booking what he wants to see match. Roxanne would be coming in as champion. I'm going to be real, I think that Roxanne Perez is probably one of the front runners for the Money in the Bank contract. So, yeah, that's the idea. And EO, because I didn't have Jade Cargill, Jordan Grace, EO would probably go on to win the Rumble and would probably go on to challenge Roxanne in a rematch. And yeah, honestly, I just want to see this match as many times as humanly possible because I think it'd be sick. And I think, hey, if you can get Roxanne on, because let's be real here, Roxanne's going to the main roster this year at some point, right? Be it during whenever the draft is, be it through a call-up. I mean, she's technically already there, but, like, isn't. It's confusing, but she's being called up at some point this year. That's just my thoughts. And I think they're probably going to put a belt on her probably by the end of the year. So, yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense. And I think this will be a really, really good match. And once again, speaking of matches which are just me booking stuff that I want to see, Motor City Machine Guns, Fraxium, yeah, I mean, there's not really much else to say. You can make this a passing of the torch match. You can make this kind of like Motor City, like the old guard and the Fraxium and the new guard and that sort of thing. Or you can literally just have it as two fantastic tag teams wrestling for the tag team championships. I think Fraxium, who did I say? I think I said Motor City would be champions going in, and then Fraxium would win the belts at Mania. I think that's how I planned it, but honestly, it doesn't matter either way. I think Fraxium would win regardless, but hey, it is what it is, and it'd be a fantastic match. And then we get into our main event, and I kind of want to lay down some ground rules and, world building before we get into the main event. So, the idea that I've got here, walk with me, because I know a lot of people aren't going to be fans of this. Cena does not drop the belt at Saturday Night Main Event or SummerSlam or whenever, right? John Cena does not lose the championship. He walks away, and he walks away with the championship. So they have to crown a new undisputed WWE champion. But it can't be undisputed anymore because Cena's there. So it's literally just a WWE championship once again. And so they go, okay, at the Rumble, we will be crowning a new WWE champion. The winner of the Rumble will be the WWE champion. And the final two eliminate each other at the same time. So they're technically both the winners. And you can't really call one of them the champion over the other. You can't have joint champions. So what do? Instead of doing it at like Elimination Chamber or whatever, you wait until WrestleMania. And the main event for the WWE Championship would be, in my opinion, Jacob Fatu versus Gunther. Now, will this happen? Probably not. But should it happen? I think a lot of people would say yes. So, hear me out here. Jacob Fatu is getting incredibly over. Like, insanely over. And Gunther is Gunther. Now, my original plan for this was either this, and because you heard me mention CM Punk earlier, CM Punk would have been involved. It was either this, or CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes. But I don't know. It feels weird. And I know we've just come off of Roman Reigns having how many Manias in a row where he was champion going into main events or fighting for the championship or whatever. But I think it's very weird if you have Cody constantly in that, like, big world title picture, Mania after Mania after Mania after Mania, right? Like, I think give him a little bit of a break. But you could have easily have done CM Punk, Cody Rhodes instead of this. This is just me booking what I want to book, right? Like, I'll be real here. But it makes sense, right? It makes a lot of sense. You're looking at Gunther, who's already a made man on the main roster, right? This could be a story of, for the next year, he's finding his feet once again. He's building up his intensity. And then he goes on, tries to win the Rumble, and so does Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu is someone, like I said, who has been getting monstrously over by the day. And with the United States Championship run, he could drop it to a Jimmy Uso, he could drop it to a Carmelo Hayes, and propel himself straight up to the main event scene. And I think this would be a very fresh main event to do. Would it work? Again, it really all depends on how over Jacob Fatu is at the time. But I think if he's as over as he is now, in a year's time, right? Then, yeah, he's going to be more than ready. Who would win this? Honestly, Jacob Fatu. I would honestly give the win and the belt to Jacob Fatu, personally. But Gunther could just as easily win. And that was my WrestleMania 42 predictions. Now, how many of those are actually going to happen? Probably not a single one. Maybe Logan Paul, CM Punk. But, yeah, let me know your thoughts. Did I cook? Did I not cook? I really, you can say that my booking sucks. That's completely fine. It is fine by me. I just kind of booked what I wanted to book. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you've got any predictions for WrestleMania 42 this early on, let me know as well. And yeah, more wrestling think pieces will be right here. And if you've already seen all of them, then YouTube really thinks you'll like this video. So it might be worth checking that out instead. See ya!